What if your enemy handed you ice cream, and it broke you more than bullets ever could? Summer 1944. The Kansas plains baked under a sun so fierce it bleached the sky white. Heat shimmered in waves, cicadas screamed without pause, and the barbed wire around the camp glittered like a necklace made of knives. Dust swirled as the trucks rolled to a stop. Brakes hissed. The smell of hot engines mixed with the sweet scent of wheat fields just beyond the fence. The world felt endless and caged. From the back of one truck, German women stepped down. Their uniforms were faded, their shoulders tight, eyes darting, waiting for Cruelty to leap out from behind every post. Liesl Hartman was the first to touch the ground, boots sinking slightly into the dirt. At 19, she carried herself like someone who'd seen too much too soon. Once a nurse's helper for the Red Cross, she still stood like discipline was her shield. Chin up, gaze sharp, braid coiled tight, as if order alone could save her. She braced for shouts, for fists, maybe a rifle to the ribs. She whispered to Anna Vogel right behind her. Never let them see you afraid. Anna adjusted her round glasses and gave the smallest nod. At 26, she'd been a schoolteacher before the war stole her old life. She carried a satchel, inside her only treasure, a small journal half filled with neat looping words. Where Liesl burned with fire, Anna glowed with quiet strength, watching, writing, surviving by noticing every crack in the world. She looked at the fences, the towers, the sun-bleached American flag snapping above, and thought, so this is what prison looks like. From the shadow of a guard post, Captain James Whitaker watched the new arrivals. His shirt clung to his back with sweat, but his face stayed calm. Whitaker was a man shaped by command, early 40s, eyes lined with tiredness and care. He'd fought in France in the last war, and carried its ghosts in silence. He believed rules mattered. But cruelty? He called it a lazy man's tool. His bosses had warned him, treat the enemy right, or Geneva will bite back when our boys get caught. But his reasons ran deeper. He thought mercy could cut sharper than steel. The guards lined up, rifles slung, boots thudding as they herded the women toward processing. Among them was Private Robert Bobby Malone, barely 20, freckles on his nose, Texas drawl thick as honey. The war had yanked him from a cotton field and dropped him here, guarding German women who, to his surprise, looked just like girls back home. His eyes lingered a beat too long on Liesl. She turned her head fast, jaw clenched, like his stare was an insult. The women froze when the mess hall doors swung open, and a smell floated out that made them stop cold. Yeast, coffee, something warm and rich. No prison should smell like this. A soldier carried out trays, steam rising and, yes, bottles of Coca-Cola, fizz glinting in the sun. Bobby grinned, setting a cone on the railing. Ice cream made from sweet milk and Coke syrup. Ladies, he called, stretching the word like it was half joke, half honor. Liesl went still. Her heart pounded. Ice cream? She'd braced for chains, for hunger, for shame. She hissed to Anna in German, it's a trick. They're softening us before they strike. But Anna's eyes softened. She breathed in the sugary air and whispered back, even a trick can taste real. One by one, they were handed food. A spoon, a bowl of beans and cornbread, a scoop of that strange fizzy ice cream. The women hesitated, glancing at each other, waiting for someone to go first. Whitaker gave the nod. Eat, he said, simple, firm. The first bite nearly broke Liesl. She clenched her teeth, refusing, then gave in. Cold sweetness flooded her tongue, strange, bubbly, tied to the enemy's plenty. Tears pricked her eyes, not from joy but shame. How dare kindness undo me faster than cruelty ever could? She turned away so no one would see. Anna, meanwhile, took her time. In her mind, she wrote, I thought prison would taste like rust and smoke. Instead, it tastes like sugar and bubbles. She tucked the thought away for her journal. The guards expected noise, laughter, complaints, maybe fights. Instead, silence fell, broken only by cicadas and the soft clink of spoons. The air felt thin, like one loud word could shatter it. Then from the end of the bench, a young German girl laughed, shocked by the cold bite of ice cream. Bobby chuckled. Guess prison ain't half bad, huh? The tension cracked, just a little. Some women smiled, then hid it fast. When the meal ended, Whitaker stepped up. His voice carried weight, but no hate. You'll be treated by the rules here. You work, you follow orders. You keep discipline, you eat, you rest, no more. No less. He paused, meeting their eyes, letting the promise sink in. Then, tired but firm, he added, "You're prisoners of war, but you're also women. Remember both." That night inside the wooden barracks, Lysol lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She heard the others breathing, boots shuffling outside as guards changed shifts. The sweetness still clung to her tongue, bitter as betrayal. She pressed her hands to her face and whispered, "It won't last. Nothing this kind ever does." Anna, a few beds away, opened her journal under the glow of a hidden candle. Her pencil moved soft and slow. "Today I braced for hate. Instead I got ice cream. Maybe America wants to fool us, but if so, I'll let them. The fences are tall, but for a moment they tasted like nothing at all." She closed the book with a sigh, holding it to her chest. Across camp, Whitaker sat at his desk, collar loose, pouring himself a drink. War reports covered his table. Towns lost, battles raging. He thought of the women's faces when they tasted the ice cream. He thought of his own daughter, 6 years old, and who once asked, "Do the lady enemies cry at night?" He'd told her yes, and that's why we must be gentle. Now he wondered, when was he talking to her? Or to himself? Bobby leaned on the barracks wall outside, humming a tune from home. He tapped his rifle butt in the dirt, still smiling at the memory of their shocked faces. "German or not?" he murmured. "A smile's a smile." He didn't see Lysol watching him from the window, eyes full of questions she refused to ask. Night deepened. Stars glittered hard above the plains. The fences glowed silver in the moonlight, holding both sides in a strange balance. Inside, kindness and suspicion had met for the first time, circling like tired dancers. Lysol finally closed her eyes. Her heart pulled between fear and something new, something dangerously close to hope. But even as it stirred, she clenched her fists under her blanket, because hope, she knew, could be the cruelest trick of all. And beyond those glowing fences, the war still roared, waiting to tear kindness apart. The morning bell clanged, sharp flat, cutting through the quiet. Inside the barracks, the women rose from thin mattresses, breath fogging in the chill before sunrise. The smell of hay, soap, and sweat hung thick, mixed with the sweet drift of cornbread from across the yard. Life behind the wire had found a rhythm, but rhythm didn't make it hurt less. Anna Vogel fixed her glasses and folded her blanket with perfect corners, as if neatness could hold her together. She opened her journal, scribbled fast. The fences hum louder than cicadas. Every dawn reminds us when the world is right there, just out of reach. She closed the book, hid it in her bag. Her writing wasn't just memory, and it was rebellion, a way to own something the fences couldn't steal. Lysol moved fast, braiding her hair with sharp tugs. Lips pressed tight. She walked like she was still on duty, chin high, back straight. But her eyes gave her away, restless, angry. She hated the routine, the clean beds, the full plates, the guards' easy laughs. In her head, every kindness was a trap. When she heard the guards joking in English, she muttered to Anna, "They laugh because they think we're broken." Anna smoothed her skirt. Or maybe because they're trying not to think about the war. Outside, Captain Whitaker crossed the yard, shadow long in the pale light. He nodded to guards, checked the lines, stood tall as assignments were called. His voice never rose, calm, steady. He believed order was power enough. Cruelty, a sign of weakness. Still, he kept his gun clean, eyes sharp. Because mercy without watchfulness is an open door. The women scattered to work. Some scrubbed uniforms till their fingers wrinkled. Others stitched torn clothes or peeled mountains of potatoes. Lysol ended up in the infirmary. Her nurse training noticed. She washed tools, wrapped small wounds, watched as American soldiers came in for care. The irony bit deep. She'd once bandaged German boys with pride. Now she wiped blood from her enemies' hands. But her fingers never shook. Precision was her armor. Anna's group went to the sewing room. Stacks of rough cloth, machines humming like tired bees. She found peace in the rhythm. Hands moving, mind wandering. Once she hummed a German lullaby under her breath. To her surprise, a guard outside tapped his foot, then whistled back an American hymn she didn't know. Cups. Dark, fizzy, still strange after all this time. Some sipped slow. Others gulped, hiding their joy. Lysol drank fast and like she was erasing proof. Anna studied the bubbles, wrote later. This drink tastes like laughter. Maybe it's a weapon too. The kind that disarms without noise. Bobby leaned by the door, grinning. Never thought I'd see Germans fuss over cornbread like it's gold, he drawled. His voice carried. One woman muttered in German, "They think we're children." Anna translated softly, then added, "Maybe they see us as people instead." Liesl shook her head. No ground given. Afternoons stretched long. The women worked fields just past the barracks, golden wheat rolling to the edge of the world. The sight stung. Home looked just like this, fertile, wide, but lost. Liesl stopped once, staring at the horizon. Whispered, "Freedom looks the same everywhere. The difference? Who holds the key?" The Americans mixed formality with ease. Some stayed cold. Others tried broken German, told clumsy jokes. Bobby was one of them. Once a baseball rolled across the yard. He tossed it to the women, pantomimed a swing. Blank stares. Then one girl took the bat, swung backward, nearly clocked him. The yard burst into startled laughs. Even Liesl smiled, then snapped her face shut. Whitaker watched these moments with care. He let music play at dusk, Glenn Miller drifting through the air, horns soft under the fading light. It lifted hearts, but he knew too much closeness risked breaking rules. One night his officers questioned him over cigars. "You're spoiling them," one said. Whitaker answered calm, "Better spoiled than savage. Treat people like animals, they become animals. Treat them like humans, you get order." His words ended the talk, but unease stayed. Not all was light. Rumors slipped in like ghosts. News of Allied wins, German losses. Each cheer from beyond the fence was a knife. Some women cried into their blankets at night. Others prayed for Hitler's return. Liesl clenched her fists, torn between rage and doubt. One evening, Anna whispered as they sat by the fence, "I think kindness scares me more than cruelty. Cruelty makes sense. You fight it, you live. But kindness?" Her voice faded. Pencil scratched in her journal. "Kindness makes you wonder what else was a lie." Liesl turned sharp. "Don't let them fool you. They feed us now, but they'll send us back to ruins." Anna closed her book. "And ruins aren't softened by bitterness. At least we can remember this. The fences became a riddle, bars that trapped but also shielded. Outside, war raged. Inside, life moved gentler than anyone expected. At night, the women heard train whistles, cow moans, guard murmurs. Sometimes before dawn, they almost forgot they were prisoners. But the reminder always came, a rifle click, a tower shadow, wire gleaming under moonlight. Every kindness had steel underneath. Every laugh carried ghosts. As summer thickened, the women changed. Small shifts, but real. Liesl hummed while scrubbing floors. Anna's journal filled with thoughts, not just facts, even hope. The guards softened too. Bobby once sneaked a peach from the officer's table, slid it to Liesl. She stared, lips tight, then bit in. Juice ran down her chin. Bobby laughed, handed her a cloth. For a second, they were just two kids sharing summer. But the sweetness never stayed clean. That night, Liesl lay awake, tasting the peach, hating herself for liking it. She whispered to the dark, "They're the enemy. Remember that." But her heart clung to the memory, sun, laughter, fruit soft on her tongue. Anna, feeling the shift in her friend, wrote by candlelight, "Maybe prison isn't the chain we thought. Maybe it's a mirror. What we see depends not on the guards, but on us." Whitaker, reading ration reports, paused. Irony hit him quiet. The prisoners ate 3,000 calories a day, more than families outside could afford with ration stamps. He wondered, when these women went home to a starved, broken Germany, would they speak of Coke and peaches, or bury it in shame? He sipped his drink. The weight of contradictions pressed hard. Cicadas sang louder that night, chorus rising as sky turned purple. The women lay in their bunks, each lost in storms of memory, guilt, and quiet thanks. The fences glowed silver, hard but strangely safe, holding them in a world that wasn't freedom, but wasn't the nightmare they'd feared. And as Anna closed her journal, she felt a tremor of dread. Kindness, she realized, couldn't last, and when it vanished, its absence might cut deeper than cruelty ever could. The first photos came folded inside smuggled newspapers, ink still wet with truth. They showed thin bodies behind wire, eyes empty, bones wrapped in striped cloth. The women in Kansas stared, and silent, stunned. For days they'd told themselves American stories were lies, tricks to break their pride. But here in black and white, the horror stared back. Death camps, piles of bodies, smoke from chimneys that had nothing to do with warmth. Anna Vogel traced one picture with her finger, throat tight. She'd taught children in Bavaria about honor, fatherland, sacrifice. Now those lessons turned to dust. "If this is what Germany did," she whispered, "then maybe we deserve these fences." She closed her journal. No words came. Liesl Hartman burned with rage, trying to hide her fear. "Lies," she snapped, but her voice shook. That night she lay awake, those hollow faces haunting her. She pressed her palms to her eyes, but they stayed. Mercy in Kansas felt like betrayal when weighed against the screams back home. The guards felt it too. Bobby Malone stared at those photos longer than he let on. His brother was bleeding somewhere in Italy, while he stood here making sure German women got ice cream. He wrote home, "Sometimes I think these prisoners eat better than I do, but after seeing what Germany did, maybe feeding them well is the best punishment of all." Captain Whitaker called his men together, photos spread on his desk. "Remember your orders," he said. "These women didn't build those camps. They got caught in a machine they didn't start. We treat them right, not because they earned it, but because we must be better than what they left behind." His voice stayed calm, but his hands clenched as he folded the papers. Life went on, but everything had shifted. The women worked slower, talked less. Even Glenn Miller's music felt heavier at night, horns carrying sorrow, not joy. Anna wrote again, "The sky feels too wide. The wheat bows like it's praying." Her words held less fight now, more wondering. Liesl clung tighter to anger. When Bobby handed her another peach one hot day, she took it, then threw the pit hard into the dirt. "I won't be tamed by fruit," she muttered, though the taste lingered sweet on her tongue. Bobby laughed nervously. He saw the storm behind her eyes. Not just hate, but grief. Culture slipped through the cracks. Women stitched German patterns into cloth. American wives admired them. Guards taught broken English. "Thank you. Good morning. Baseball." Coca-Cola needed no translation. One day a girl tried swing dancing under the guards' amused eyes. Laughter rippled. Even Liesl smiled, then bit her lip to hide it. But laughter was dangerous. It softened edges some wanted sharp. Rumors spread that not all Americans liked this kindness. "Wasting sugar on enemies while our families ration," one letter said. Whitaker burned those letters in his stove, watched the ashes curl. He believed in this. Feed them, shelter them, let them see what America is. One day they'll go home, and their stories might plant seeds stronger than bombs. One evening by the fence, Anna whispered to Liesl, "I think kindness broke me more than cruelty ever could. It makes me ask, who are we if our enemies treat us better than our own leaders did?" Her voice trembled, like a secret too heavy to hold. Liesl turned away fast. "Don't say that. You're betraying everything." But her own heart wavered. She remembered a boy she'd treated, 18, dying, whispering Danke with his last breath. If her country built those camps, what did he die for? The war crept into dreams. Anna woke one night crying, clutching her journal. She wrote by candle. "When Whitaker's little girl handed me a cookie through the fence, I felt shame heavier than chains. How do you swallow a child's kindness when your own people starve?" She blew out the candle, lay shaking, sugar bitter on her tongue. The guards wrestled too. Bobby told a friend, "Don't feel right, feeling sorry for them. My brother's in mud somewhere and I'm here making sure girls get ice cream." His friend shrugged. "Maybe that's the point. We fight there so we don't have to fight here." But Bobby couldn't shake it. War was supposed to be simple, good versus evil. Here behind fences the lines blurred. Whitaker felt it most. He watched the women at meals, how they smiled shyly at small joys. He remembered his daughter's question, "Do the lady enemies cry at night?" Now he knew. He saw it every morning. Red eyes, stiff backs, hearts trying not to break. He reminded himself, and they're prisoners. But some part of him couldn't ignore the truth. They were people. Just trying to survive. Autumn wind swept the plains, shaking the wire, sending leaves skidding across the yard. Fields turned brown. Days grew short. New rumors flew. The war in Europe might end soon. The women whispered of home, if home still stood. Some hoped for reunion. Others feared rubble. Anna wrote, "We're caught in strange mercy. Inside life is whole. Outside which only ruins wait." Tension snapped one afternoon. Liesl collapsed in the infirmary. Exhaustion won. Bobby ran in without thinking, helped her up. She jerked away. I don't need your pity. But her legs shook. She leaned on the wall, breath ragged. Bobby stood awkward, hands half raised. Ain't pity, he said soft. Just being human. The words hit her harder than a slap. She turned away, fighting tears, hating him for kindness she couldn't refuse. That night she whispered to Anna, I don't know who I am anymore. If cruelty makes enemies, what does kindness make us? Anna pressed her journal into Liesel's hands. It makes us alive. That's enough for now. Liesel gave it back, but not before reading one line that stuck. We win wars not just with bombs, but with bread. She repeated it till sleep took her. The camp grew quieter. Everyone felt the war's shadow closing in. Women worked, ate, laughed sometimes, but every moment felt heavy. The photos had planted doubt, twisting loyalties, reshaping souls. Even Whitaker felt it. He wrote in his private notes, fences don't just hold and they show us. Mercy is a dangerous weapon. It cuts deeper than bullets. One evening, as women gathered in fading light, Anna heard something strange. A train whistle, far off, long and sad, like it came from another world. They all turned, faces pale. Liesel gripped the wire, eyes wide. That sound wasn't hope, it was warning. Ships waiting, displacement coming, a future rushing toward them. Guards called them in, but the sound lingered, vibrating in the air long after the train was gone. In that moment they understood. Kindness inside the camp had hidden the truth. The fences wouldn't hold them forever. Outside waited a broken world, and no ice cream or Coke could soften what came next. Anna closed her journal with shaking hands. Her last line before lights out carried weight she couldn't name. Sweetness doesn't last. And when it's gone, its absence hurts worse than cruelty ever did.